Hi, my name is Justin Orndorff. I'm the founder and president of DVS Baseball, and I want to talk to you today about the life cycle of a baseball pitcher. And the life cycle of a baseball pitcher has significantly shifted over the last 10 years. But to start off the conversation, let's talk about the traditional life cycle in the ideal sense. So I'm going to flash a graphic up on the screen, and what you're going to see is essentially a calendar 12-month cycle throughout any given year of how a pitcher will navigate through 3 different phases. But let's start with the season first. So the season, by and large, is going to run from March through September. Yes, there's some variability where college programs will start earlier, some high school programs will start earlier, but we're going to be extended March through September, and in October, we'll see some MLB postseason. But for the vast majority of all levels of baseball, we're going to be playing baseball in game situations March through September. And this is where, as a pitcher, I am required in my job description to throw a baseball at max intensities, get outs, be available, and do my job for my team to be successful, help the team win, and basically be available to do it all season. Okay, so once the season's over, it's in a perfect opportunity to reflect back on what you actually did during the season. And that should facilitate and help you implement the variety of programs and options that you should start to choose during the off-season period. So during the season, were you injured? Did you battle a sore arm? Was your recovery bad? After a start, did it take you 2-3 days to recover? Were you constantly sore in your elbow or your shoulder? If you're one of those pitchers, then you want to make sure that you address that in the off season. Well, maybe you're a pitcher who said, hey, I had a successful season, I hit all my goals, outstanding. How in the off season can you facilitate more growth for the next season? So these questions, and a variety of questions exist there, should start to really fuel what you're actually going to be doing in the off season, because the off season is that perfect time to add in mobility, add in strength, choose the strength and conditioning program, choose options which will better prepare you for next season, give you the competitive advantage. Okay, and one of the things that comes along with the off season is how much throwing or how much time off should you really take time off from actual throwing? Well, the answer is very simple for us. It's you never have to stop throwing. You just can throw at sub-max intensities. You're just not eligible, and you don't have to go and compete at 100% intensity games at all. So you can continue to move through your delivery, throw lightly, work on some skill aspect, skill acquisition from the pitching side of the equation. But it doesn't mean you just have to stop, okay? It just means that you shouldn't in November go play in a tournament and pitch a couple innings because it's a big opportunity when you've been off for maybe 8 to 10 weeks. That's not a good option, okay? So again, the off season should be required to then help you gain the competitive advantage for next season. And as the off season transpires into your preseason, that's where the throwing program should resume. It should be catered to when the start of your actual next season is going to be, and it should start to build into high intensities and start to simulate a recovery pattern that's definitely going to allow you to successfully compete during the course of the season year after year. And this cycle, in this life cycle we call it, should repeat itself every year. But what's happened is now, I'll flash a new graphic up on the screen, the life cycle of a baseball pitcher in 2020 looks like this. So now it's all green. It's the season 12 months out of the year. So as a pitcher, I'm now being influenced and kind of told that I have to be ready to throw at 100% intensity 12 months out of the year, and it never really stops. Okay? And why this influence has occurred is because of the private sector. In all transparency, DVS is part of the private sector as well. But what's happened is the private sector, which includes tournaments, camps, clinics, velocity programs, strength and conditioning programs, private instructors, any type of program that's trying to facilitate development and training or give you an opportunity to showcase yourself. That's what we're referring to, okay? And what's happened is that the private sector has realized that they can have a lot of your time and a lot of your investment financially during this period. So as a player, and more so as a parent, there's never been more options. There's never been more information for you to have to make a decision on. And man, is it a confusing marketplace, because businesses are going to compete against each other. One person's going to tell you you need to do this, another one's going to tell you you need to do that. And who ends up becoming a victim of all this saturation of options is the baseball pitcher. And unfortunately, it's just trickling down younger and younger and younger, because players as soon as 11 years old are being kind of told that they need to really do all these things if they want to do these things later down the road. And some of that's true, but mostly it's false, okay? Because when we're facilitating development, we don't have to have the same demands that a major league pitcher undergoes. And that's kind of where we are as a society and a culture in terms of how we're going about, having kids at a young age go through programs that mirror the programs of 10 or 15 years ago. Maybe not the exact programs, but the demands of the programs that college level players and professional players were undergoing. And so what's happening now, and I'll give you an example, if I'm a 12-year-old player on a travel organization and I have a pretty lengthy tournament schedule, but I also am playing in middle school baseball and I have a private instructor, I have all these things happening. Oh, and I may play another sport. It's just you never have time to actually recover. And who knows, is your private instructor going to have you throw a pretty high intensity bullpen? Are you then having to go pitch in a game and 2 days later? And what do the coaches during the tournament want to do? They want to win. So they don't expect you to be capable of pitching. And so the cycle just it's vicious, and it lasts all year. So the answer for us is still very simple. It's you always have a specific situation, and everyone is uniquely different. But if you start asking yourself some real questions that gauge around how did you do in games during the season, because I think we've gotten away a little bit of actually did you perform well during the season? If not, why? And start to go find the answer as to why. Okay, because remember, in terms of pitching performance, there's a lot of aspects of that which go into developing you as a whole and really allowing and preparing for success at the highest level, but also how long can you have that success, okay? So again, to kind of recap here, things have really shifted, and it's shifted because we're just expecting and requiring pitchers much younger ages to kind of meet the demands of the professional players, the college players, and who's kind of getting victim in all this is the younger players who are just not ready. Their bodies can't handle the demands, but they're kind of being forced as this is the new norm. And it just doesn't have to be the new norm. So at DVS Baseball, we're always here to help. We're always here to answer questions. But just as a pitcher, have some transparency and some honesty with yourself and start asking yourself some serious questions about the options am I choosing, do they really align with what I need to be doing at this giving point or this giving time of the year. So this is Justin Ornduff, and we've just talked about the life cycle of a baseball pitcher and how it shifted. Thanks for listening. Thank you.